engage more politically and help elect people that are favorable to them, which is kind of incredible to think.
How things sort of trickle down from here, it was just going to be the beginning. The way it gets put to the player.
Probably more wagers voided and settled unfavorably toward me by regulated books backed by regulators than I have on unregulated, reputable books.
You're listening to Behind the Lines, a podcast presented by In Play Live and powered by Pinnacle, the #1 sportsbook where winners play and never get limited. Go to pinnacle.com/InPlayLive to sign up and get in the game.
Hello, welcome in. It's Behind the Lines, powered by Pinnacle, purifying the sports betting industry. I'm Shane Paces here. Gosu in the house as well. On today's show, the DK Pack, Drake Gets Real, CFL Grind, and it's retreat week. Pace, I'm jacked. I see, John, you're already there in Vancouver, enjoying the beautiful scenery and the nice mild temperatures, nice favorable weather conditions going on there for the week. Pace, tell everybody out there what they can expect if they are showing up in Vancouver this week.
Well, I mean, we've got pretty much the best live bettors in the world all coming together. There's obviously some people that are as good as us or maybe better that aren't coming, but definitely some of the world's best. So, it's going to be everything from, just catching up, putting faces to names, and having a good time with some good food and drinks to lots of betting, learning, and networking, which is really awesome from the standpoint of improving and, heading into that next season as we're kind of now officially in downtime here with the NHL and NBA behind us. You can kind of take a bit of a break, but also start getting mentally geared up for what's next. And I think the event helps people do that each and every year. And then lots of competitive stuff. We had SX on the show. Shane, I mean, how long ago was that now? That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, ages ago, feels like.
So the SX team is going to be at the event, and they provide us with live betting lines for our events. So like we'll be betting on our softball through SX, our cornhole tournament through SX, our scavenger hunt through SX. If someone wants to flip a coin with someone, you can bet it through SX. So that was tons of fun last year, and really looking forward to the momentum being continued there, because there's definitely a learning curve with that sports book. Lots of competition, lots of education, lots of fun, and hopefully some really memorable times. Actually, Schroeder just sent a message to our Vancouver group, and I think it's a really good example of the right mindset. His plane just landed last night, and he's like, I'm so pumped for the plane touching down and a week of fun with Vancouver, the guys in Vancouver. He goes, let's make some memories this week, gentlemen. Life's too short not to cherish the conversations at these amazing events. So he's a guy that's obviously been with us from the very, very beginning. And that's just the right mentality when you head into something like this. It's like, let's really cherish this and make the most out of it. So I can't wait. So pumped for this week. We're going to have a blast.
Love it. Love it. Schroeder, take it easy out there on the baseball diamond this year. Okay, buddy? we want to see you play the whole tournament this time around. Okay. John, you were there last year. You and I actually stayed in the same hotel, funny enough, but not on purpose, by coincidence. It was great to hang out with you a little bit, sort of outside of the IPL event as a whole. But what else did you kind of get out of it? And is this your second time going to the event this year?
Yeah, it's the second time. I mean, I really enjoy meeting the guys that we work with every day. We just don't get to see the faces, but we see the names online. So that was just really good and rewarding, just knowing how much of an impact you're having on people and just connecting. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's a great time, a lot of fun. Looking forward to getting out there. I fly out there on Wednesday, guys. So I'll see you then Wednesday evening. But we got a few topics on the show that I want to get to here. This is kind of interesting because it's kind of I think building on a topic that we've been covering over the last few weeks now. But DraftKings filed with the Federal Election Commission to create a corporate political action committee known as a PAC. Or people might know them as super PACs in some cases for really, really big ones. But basically, this will give DraftKings sort of an opportunity to really engage more politically and help elect people that are favorable to them, which is kind of incredible to think. But I'll just give you some statements that the company sort of put out there through a spokesperson. The spokesperson saying here, we have established this PAC to support state and federal candidates and organizations who have shown an interest in issues affecting our business. DraftKings' ultimate goal is to build the best, most trusted, and most customer-centric destination for our players. The recent tax increase in Illinois makes it harder to provide the best service to our players, while it simultaneously incentivizes more players to wager in the unregulated illegal market. Spokesperson wraps it up here with, among other things, we are monitoring a range of regulatory, tax, and licensing policies around the country, including the recent tax increase in Illinois. In addition, DraftKings may prioritize issues that impact business operations, including the expansion of the legal, regulated online betting market. So the spokesperson here making it very clear that this is almost directly related to Illinois and its unexpected tax that we've covered on the last couple of episodes here. John, since you're from the U.S., I know you're in Vancouver right now, but you live in the good old USA. Are you at all surprised to see sportsbooks sort of really engaging politically now this way?
No, I mean, I think that they've been engaging as much as they can. I think that, typically, I think we've seen, I think we were hopeful, let me just back up and say, I think when regulation happened, I think a lot of us were hopeful that it would be something that would be a real benefit to the player in terms of being able to get wagers and discrepancies that are maybe voided or not paid adjudicated in a more player-friendly way. And I think we've seen the opposite actually happen. I've had probably more wagers voided and settled unfavorably toward me by regulated books backed by regulators than I have on unregulated reputable books, I would say. So I think some of that is definitely due to connections with the regulators. The regulators simply wouldn't exist without the books. So it's kind of a conflict of interest to begin with, in my opinion. But I'm not really surprised here. And I do think we on this podcast, when we discuss the Illinois tax thing, I think we're on the side of the book there, in that it's hard to run a business and it's bad for the player, and eventually it trickles down when those taxes go up. So if they are really, forming this group with that as the spear point of why they would want to try to lobby and get some of those things removed, I think we're all pretty much in favor of that.
Pace, what do you think here? Do you think that a sportsbook getting more politically active could be good for players?
Could. Yes.
Okay.
Right. Could.
Yeah.
It's how you word it. I really don't. I really don't think I have the answers here. John says things much more succinctly and intelligently than I do. We debated the death penalty last night over a few cocktails. So,
among other things,
right. And I find the more I talk to him, the dumber he thinks I am. So I think he answered that one better than I no, but honestly, like when it comes to this whole discussion, we said in the first episode that we covered this DraftKings thing, that how things sort of trickle down from here, it was just going to be the beginning, the way it gets put to the player. Now, as far as the books having an arm in things politically, I don't necessarily think that has a downside to the player if the approach is one that is geared towards the book being able to operate in a way that maybe doesn't impact their side of things, that does ultimately end up passing things to the player. So from that standpoint, could it benefit the player or could it be positive? Yes. But unfortunately, I think the precedent that's being set here with this Illinois stuff, it's setting the framework or the sort of the overall infrastructure in place so that the books can put these type of models forth in other states prior to any regulation happening. So I think that if they see profitability from this style of charging the player a higher commission, it'll just roll over into other states, especially because people really don't realize that these books aren't just printing money. Are they doing well to an extent? Sure, but they're still trying to figure everything out on their end. So the harder things come down on them from a taxation standpoint, the harder it is, separately of what happens to the player, the harder it is for them to to be sustainably profitable, which is obviously one of the reasons why, we've seen a lot of operators drop out of different states and regulated areas. So yeah, I hope that, I hope it's beneficial, but again, I think that whenever it comes to anything we cover about the books on this show, we kind of all know at the back of our mind that it tends not to be a player focused industry. So that's where, I mean, we had Richard on from American Bettors Voice, and I was actually just thinking about that conversation with him, Shane, which is crazy to say, but where do they fit in this equation, and what are they actively doing to ensure that the player is protected amidst these types of things continuing to happen? And to John's point, more voids, more clawbacks from the regulated and reputable sources, as opposed to less. So like the player, you could argue, is being further and further left behind. Something we talked about on the show was FanDuel and how they were very pro winning player because of their limits. And obviously that's been cut as well. So like, yeah, I just don't know how that all fits into this discussion. I think it's getting harder for the players. I really do.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is getting harder for the players. I think that this move in particular is probably more than likely going to be, in favor of the sports books sort of whole picture, I guess, if you want to sort of look at it that way, or kind of, net, I see it sort of benefiting the sports books long term. You brought up the conversation with Richard. It's funny because I was thinking about that too. And, I think about it often because one thing in particular that Richard had said in that conversation is how the sports books are the ones that are driving the legislation. They're influencing the legislation, in many cases, writing it, which is, kind of crazy to think, that's kind of how it's playing out. But then on the state side and the lawmakers and the regulators side of things, they're just looking at it as a cash cow and trying to get as much of it as they can out of the whole thing. And I don't think that they necessarily always have the players' interests at heart, right? They're just seeing dollar signs.
Right. And I think one of the things that I found reassuring when I started to get issues with sportsbooks beyond being limited. So the limitation discussion is one that, comes up all the time. Let's totally put that aside. And it's obviously a major thing. But where I was like, okay, a sportsbook stole money from me, or they voided a bet, or whatever it was, I actually do have recourse. And the first one that I ever went through was ECOGRA. So ECOGRA is a regulatory body that operates for a lot of gray market sports books that are based out of areas that aren't the United States, right? So, if you have an issue with like a Unibet type sports book, you would go through this ECOGRA for an appeal. And they stole I think it was like $35,000 from me. And I was stunned. They never gave me a reason as to why the money was stolen. And all of a sudden my account was shut down and the money was gone. And I've had it where I can't log into accounts before, but ultimately you go through the verification steps that they ask for. And it's pretty much always been a happy ending where, I didn't get to keep my account, but I got my money. So I submit everything to ECOGRA and thinking like, okay, like someone's going to help me. And that's the feeling that I had, like there is recourse. And a statement comes back from them. It took like probably 3 months. And it says, we have sided with the operator on this matter and our decision is final. 0, this is why, this is the terms and conditions you breached. Nothing. And then that was the first of many similar experiences thereafter. I know I told my story on this podcast of what I went through with going through the Ask Gamblers channel.
Right. Yeah.
And I thought that they existed for the player. And then when you look behind the scenes, it's an organization with over 250 employees that markets themselves as this player-friendly ecosystem to help bettors, not necessarily help bettors hold sportsbooks accountable. Well, they did. I got the exact same message from ECOGRA that I got from Ask Gamblers. No evidence at all. We've sided with the sportsbook. And then you find out that they're doing affiliate deals with the sports books, and all of their profit is from player losses. And John just said, well, it sounds like a conflict of interest from the regulatory standpoint. Well, the conflict of interest is everywhere in this industry when it comes to this stuff. So the recourse from a winning player trying to seek retribution in these cases, it isn't getting better. It's getting significantly worse. And, I'm not in a regulated space, and I think that you guys do have it better from a recourse standpoint than I do, but there's pros and cons to everything. And, the player definitely needs outs. And, I don't know. I don't have the answers to that.
Yeah. I don't think this is going to create more outs for them, as you put it. With sportsbooks getting this much more political and essentially in a lot of ways influencing elections. I just don't see that long term being good for players, or at least good for sharp players. Maybe it'll lead to more offerings for rec players. I don't know. We'll see.
And the thing is, though, Shane, is this stuff sounds doom and gloom, right? It's like, well, fuck, why am I doing this, or why am I getting involved with this, or things like that. And to be honest with you, it's one of the biggest reasons why I started helping bettors win money. So people will always say this about anyone that's like sells a service. If you were good at this, why would you tell other people? One of the biggest reasons, like separately of the intrinsic value of actually helping someone be successful as a bettor, was I felt like I was at war. I still do to this day. That sounds dramatic. It is a little intense. But it's like when you get mistreated to this extent, it's like, great, well, now you're not going to have just me. There's going to be 500 other people knocking on your doorstep that know how to win money as well, that you have to look out for because of how you treated me. So, you like apples? How do you like them apples?
Okay. Why don't we move on? Because I think this next topic kind of hits close to the IPL community, because, fade Drake was a big thing at one point in IPL. Not so much lately, but it definitely was at one point. And Drake coming out and kind of, perhaps showing some transparency here. I don't know. Coming clean on his gambling, some might say. He posted a message on Instagram showing his gambling losses with stake. And everybody, anybody who follows Drake at all or knows anything about his sports betting knows that he always bets at stake. He's got like a deal with them. And so he came out here and decided, you know what, I'm gonna be real with everybody. I'm gonna show my losses, and you can see I've got the story screenshot here from his Instagram. And in the post here, he says, "I am a flawed sports bettor. I will not deny that. That's not my gift. I'll let everybody roll with it. I'm sure if you're a Drake curse believer, there will be plenty more content in the future to confirm your theories, because my slips do not cash out. But one day I'm going to have a parlay that's insane." Classic rec sports bettor thinking there. But here's the numbers. You could have a look at the numbers here, which are pretty, they're pretty big. Like, I mean, week wagered $50 million, lost $5.8 million. Fortnite. I'm not sure who uses the term Fortnite or tracks in fortnights, but anyway, Fortnite, $75 million, down $5.9 million there in the Fortnite. And over the course of a month, $124 million, and he lost $8.235 million. Now, I'm sure for Drake, it's nothing. It's just a drop in the bucket. But John, first, what do you think about Drake even posting this to begin with?
I think it's yeah. I mean, it's nothing that anybody didn't know. I mean, just because we didn't have the actual figures to go with it, right? I mean, I think people kind of had an idea that he was probably a losing bettor, as most people are. And it seems that he's losing at a rate that's commensurate with the norm. So he's bleeding 6% ROI or something. So he's just getting juiced out essentially. No surprise there. I mean, I remember when like Billy Walters released his book about Phil Mickelson and how much money he had wagered and how much he had lost and all of that, just some astronomical numbers. The Otani interpreter, people with access to a lot of this money, they're going to lose a ton of money if they have a gambling problem. So, I don't know that he even has like some kind of problem. He just has a lot of money. So if he's betting $1 million units, he's betting 125 units in a month. I mean, a lot. So it's what people do. So who knows? But it's interesting. I do like when people, because we all know a lot of people who or maybe we know almost everybody that we know who gambles on sports seems to only win. Like I know I have many people in my life that I only ever see winning tickets. People talk about how they hit some big bet, blah blah blah, and then it's like at the end of the day they stop betting for 6 months when their girlfriend or their wife finds out about how much money they lost, and you don't hear about that, right? So it's nice when people are actually honest about losses. I try to be as honest and transparent about my losses with everybody I know as possible whenever I'm on a losing streak or that sort of thing, right? Because it's just important to be realistic and honest about it with yourself and other people. So that part of it I do like, and I think other people that are in that space and are gambling influencers should be transparent as well.
Yeah, Pace, this really sort of feels to me like sort of an influencer, a sports betting influencer in a lot of ways, since he's always posting his tickets. Kind of sort of being encouraged perhaps by Stake to get in on the whole responsible gambling messaging that we know the sportsbooks are putting out there. And maybe he thought, hey, this is a way for me to go about doing it.
Yeah, perhaps. I think that we haven't brought it up in this post, but we did on our second episode. We have our shot of Behind the Lines. Like, Drake is being paid significant money to work for Stake and to promote them, like significant money. Now, how much of this is his money versus what they're providing? Who knows? The figures that he does wager separately of the losses, you can't even remotely even come close to wagering at Stake.
I was just going to say, like, show me a book, show me Stake allowing somebody to put $1 million on something. That isn't
well, we're looking at it.
Yeah. Well, that isn't right. Him though, is what I mean.
Yeah. And the limits are, they're quite a bit lower than what those are, even for an established account that has some losses behind it. Now I don't know how you could get it unlocked to that extent. I know they do have VIP channels and things like that, because I've been invited to some of them in the past, but definitely not these types of limits. Like, obviously what we're looking at here is beyond what Pinnacle would even take on some of these lines.
Yeah, way beyond.
Yeah. Now, like John said, bleeding out at 6%. The longest time frame in this screenshot is 1 month. So if you take that 125 million wagered with 8 million in losses, you can't fade Drake and profit because you'd be eating the juice on the other side, right? So like the whole fade Drake thing, because someone lost doesn't mean you win betting against them, and a lot of people in the industry don't understand that. So when it's fade anyone and that whole discussion, they have to lose at a remarkably special rate to be able to profit, which is why, like, in the Circa, not the Circa Survivor, what's the other one? Circa Millions,
like the Pick'em.
Yeah, the Pick'em pool. I think they guarantee 1 million to first place, and then there's a whole series of other prizes below that. Whereas like Circa Survivor, in theory, it's one winner, but of course now it's gotten to be such a big pool that it seems like multiple people are surviving the whole season each year. I think there was 8 winners last year, one of which was on our show the other week there, which was really cool.
Yeah, Chris Dirkus. Yeah,
but that's why the Circa Millions rewards the bottom. It's hard, as hard as it is to pick winners. It's equally as hard to be so bad that you just constantly lose. Now, Shane, 2 things here. One is he trying to promote responsible gambling through Stake, or is he actually having a bit of a conscience here where he says, hey, I should show people that I am in fact losing money? I mean, I'd love to see those stats beyond the month. I'd love to see like a few years and how bad it is. But he still ends it with that degenerate, horrendous sportsbook positive mindset of, I just have to hit one.
Yeah.
And I hate that. Just because that's like saying I just need to keep buying lottery tickets for the rest of my life and I'll eventually hit. It's just not how it works.
I think it's that line that sort of does it for me. That was like, no, this isn't Drake like just trying to be transparent about his sports betting and be real with his fans. This is Stake coming to him and being like, hey, we want you to put out a responsible gambling message, but maybe still make sure that it's kind of promotional. I wouldn't even be surprised if somebody helped him craft this, like someone from Stake helped him craft the post.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of his stuff very much is in line with what a sportsbook would want you to post. And again, that's where I think there's an argument to be made on like the $8 million in loss last month. He may have been given all of that back. I have no idea.
Yeah. Or he never wagered it himself to begin with, or it was never,
Sure.
his money on the line. Right. I think that's probably a likely scenario.
At the same time, though, I do think he likes gambling, and I do think he wants his own skin in the game as well. So I think there is some sort of middle ground associated with maybe there's payments for promoting, and then maybe he gets a percentage of his losses back on top of that. And then he actually uses the platform, and he may lose all of his payments and all of his promotions and lose his loss back again there. You know what I mean? So like it still may shake out where he is actually losing money and Stake is getting, a really great deal for him promoting. But again, a guy like him would be gambling anyways. He would go to Vegas and place physical tickets and spend huge money on roulette wheels and all the different things that he would do anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, I think now it's time for, I think, everybody's favorite segment. I know it's quickly becoming mine, and it's not even the NFL, but Gridiron Grind time with Gosu. John, time to get to some CFL action. I think last week we went 2-1. I think what does that bring the record to now? I'm trying to do it. We went 3-0 the previous week, and then the week before that, I think was just one loss.
I think one loss. So I think overall now I think we're 5-2. I want to say,
but with some good plus money in there too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you take it. Yeah. And PSA, if you ever take a dog on the spread and it's under touchdown, always put a little bit on the money line. Do that in every level of football. I guess that probably works for Canadian football. I haven't run the math, but I assume it does. So, yeah.
I do that in basketball too, actually, pretty frequently.
I gotta touch on our team, Calgary. So we saw something from them this week that was really interesting. I thought it was how poor they played in the cold and how poor they played in the weather. And to win the Super Cup, they have to probably play in the cold weather in October and November. So that doesn't bode well for our bet, but I do still believe in them throughout the summer. And I think that coming out of the regular season, I'm based on what I saw in the first 2 weeks, I'm hoping that, we're in just a very good position where you can look at outs and options for the wager that we have.
Right. I did get in, by the way. I know.
The line's gone down after the loss.
Yeah.
The line has gone down after the loss.
Yeah.
I'll never understand this league. I'll never understand it.
I think I was able to get in at 13.0, I think, or 13.1 or something like that. Yeah. Okay.
So we blame you for them losing?
What's that?
So can we blame you for them losing?
Yeah, you can blame. Yeah. Put it all on me. It's definitely my fault.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Let's get to this week's slate. The Thursday night game pace that I think we'll probably be betting like at your place, like on your rooftop patio. The Edmonton Elks playing the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in Winnipeg on Thursday evening. John, anything here?
Yeah, last week I hinted that I think we're gonna see some double-digit spreads here pretty soon, and lo and behold, I think we're about to get one. At most books, this is 9.5. There is a 10 out there. I actually make this closer to 2 touchdowns, so I will happily take the minus 9.5 with Winnipeg at home. I didn't like their offense this past week, and it is a short week for them. Edmonton is just absolutely dreadful. That the game that they played against Montreal last week, I mean, that game really shouldn't have been even as competitive as it was score wise. So that was kind of just some garbage there at the end. That they're really bad. So I think this game should be over double digits. So I'll take that 9.5, and maybe maybe this will be a week where we finally have a reason to take one of those 2-leg 7-point CFL teasers. Get Winnipeg under
all
field
right.
goal.
A little teaser tease there. I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, you mentioned the Alouettes there, and yeah, that game against Edmonton. I think that score went 20-12. Was that the final score in that game? Right, only 32 total points in that game.
That game was that was the Calgary game.
That was the Calgary game.
Montreal
right.
won 38-28 in that game against Edmonton last week.
Okay,
and it was just 2 really late junk touchdowns from Edmonton, and that was the game where they didn't go for 2 down 24. Then they didn't kick onside. Then they punted with a minute 44 left, down 10.
Yeah, they could have been down 8. And they, if they'd actually gone for 2, gotten it right, and they got that onside kick, so they actually could have had a chance to win the game. But like you said, it was garbage, and it was one-sided for 55 minutes in that game. So,
yeah, okay. Well, they're playing Hamilton this week. The Alouettes heading over to Ontario to play in Hamilton on Friday evening. I think we'll probably be playing some baseball or maybe watching a championship baseball game when that game kicks off. But do you like anything there? Maybe something pregame?
Yeah, we were on Hamilton week 1. Had a little bit of a higher expectation for them. I really have docked them in the modeling and in the rankings. They've not looked good. They were really poor in week 1. Week 2 didn't really bounce back either. So I actually think getting Montreal under a field goal here, as it is right now, it's -2.5. The time we're recording, you can get for -110. Really like that side. Getting under the field goal with what I think is Montreal may be the best team in the league right now. They're certainly playing like it. So
they are.
To me, that's really good value. I don't really care about the road spot here. Montreal played earlier in the week this past week, so not short rest. So I think getting under that field goal is a really good number.
Yeah, that's a small spread there. Okay, the BC Lions playing Saskatchewan in Saskatchewan. What's the line there? What's the spread there right now?
5.5 right now
for the Riders.
Yes, yeah, it's Riders -5.5. Yeah.
Okay. Do you like any? Did you like that line? Is that? I could see Riders by a touchdown, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I don't know about Rourke's status. Masoli is just a pumpkin out there the last 2 weeks. I mean, he was just it. I mean, he just doesn't. He shouldn't be in the league based on what I watched.
So bad.
So
he shouldn't be in the CFL. That's tough.
we know Justin like firsthand.
Yeah,
and he's 6'7", and he's wide open, and he cannot hit him. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's tall, he's long, he's got these long arms. I mean, he should be able to, hit a ball that's close to him.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I'm just trashing this veteran guy, but I mean, he just doesn't have it right now. So if Rourke can't go, I would definitely bet this up to -6.5 on the rider side. If Rourke does play, I would think that the line would move, but I would take anything under like -3.5 for the Riders. But if Rourke plays and it somehow goes over 6 or something, I'd be on the Lions side. So to me, it's really just about Rourke, and with Rourke playing, I'd make the line about 4.5, 5, sitting at 5.5 right now. So if it's Masoli, then anything under a touchdown or even at like a 7 flat number, I would take on the Rider side.
If it's Masoli, you just bet some alternates if you can, because think about this: the Bombers played one of the worst football games I've ever watched in my life, and they won easily. The Riders' offense has been insane. So if you have one side that can't score and another side that can, if it's Masoli, you got to take those Riders.
Yeah, and John, you're saying you would take it -7, but Pace, you're suggesting, hey, go find the alts and see if you can get some big
numbers exist,
right?
I don't even know if you can take it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good
You know,
fun.
a minus
Yeah.
14 at 4.0 or something like that,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I, another, to me, it's a good teaser leg. At the 5.5, the 6 number, if you take that, like with Winnipeg, you're basically getting the Riders money line in Winnipeg under a field goal. I think that's a really good wager. I'll be on this weekend, I believe.
Yeah, you can get some of these teasers at 2.0 in the CFL. I'm not sure why, but like you said, John, this might be the spot.
I think it's just like it's like
an
college. It's
inefficient
just
league.
higher totals, like in college, and probably more volatility on the winning margins in the sport, right? So they're just it's the juice doesn't need to be there,
right?
Yeah. Okay. Last game of the weekend. This one on Sunday. So we actually have a Saturday game and a Sunday game this week. So this is the final game of the week is Toronto Argonauts in Ottawa playing the Red Blacks on Sunday. What do you like, John?
I guess I'm assuming Kelly's still out. I don't know. I know that he was taking reps in practice last week, but he wasn't doing first team stuff. So I guess we just kind of watch this. It's the same situation with Rourke. Like I'm kind of giving them like the same number of points in terms of value, Rourke and Kelly compared to the backups. So if it's Buckle, to me this line should be around 5.5, 6. So with the -2.5 on Ottawa, I really like. So I'll just stock across the board for me this week, assuming we're getting backup quarterbacks for BC and Toronto.
Right.
So I normally I kind of hone a lot of my stuff to end up taking dogs about 60 to 65% of the time. But I'm just on a lot of favorites early in this season because it's I just don't think the lines are really properly adjusting to what we've seen so far and just how atrocious some of these backup quarterbacks are. So I think, it's not really about like the home field advantage or anything, which I know I've said is priced too high and stuff like that. I just think like we were seeing spreads under a field goal right now for teams that I think should be closer to a touchdown. So the -2.5 on Ottawa, assuming there's no Kelly, and even if he does go, I really don't know. With not having played for almost a year at this point, is there really, is there going to be some rust there and that sort of thing? So I like Ottawa again this week on the side.
Okay, so even if Kelly goes, we find out Kelly's playing. You would still like, say, the Ottawa money line?
Probably, because I believe if Kelly is confirmed in, this becomes a pick or even Toronto's favorite, because I think the line will move at least a field goal for him. So I would still take that Ottawa side on a money line at plus money, because if Kelly plays, I'd make it like Ottawa -1, maybe something like that. So I would think that any value on like a plus money line or even like a 1.5, 2 points on their spread would be good, even if Kelly plays.
Love it. Okay, so just to recap here, we're you like Winnipeg -7 or 7.5.
Bombers -9.5, Alouette -2.5, and then we can't really officially say anything for those other two games, I would say, but it's kind of one or the other depending on the quarterback situation in BC against Saskatchewan, and sounds like Ottawa no matter what, which is nuts to me to say, but Chad Kelly is a really good quarterback. But I get it. He when he came back last year, it was slow. He definitely was slow to start, and he was a little rusty. So it sounds like Red Blacks no matter what, but the number does matter there.
Right. And with the Riders,
sorry, for like, if we want to say officially what I like right now when people can bet when the podcast drops, the Winnipeg minus, I would bet it up to -11.5, -12.
Okay.
I would bet Montreal up to -4.5 probably. And then I'm going to take that teaser of Winnipeg and Saskatchewan. So there are books who will let you do 7-point teasers for -110 in the CFL on 2 legs. So you can find those out there. I think Pinnacle, you said, does 2.0, right, for 6 points. But yeah, you can find 7-point teasers. I like that a lot because then you're getting Winnipeg under a field goal.
Okay, there we go. So those are the official picks that we're rolling out for the podcast. That's what we will track when we regroup next week, and that's what we'll cheer in person when I see you guys later this week. Can't wait. Pace, I'm rocking my sweater here. I think I got this from the first retreat I attended, so not last year's retreat, the one before that. and it's still got to be one of my favorite sweaters, one of my favorite IPL pieces of swag. But I see you, Pace, rocking a new piece of swag that people will be able to grab there.
Yeah, we got the new swag has arrived, and I freaking love it. Absolutely love it. We've done a lot of stuff in the past where we try to embody some sort of like community verbiage, a lot of text. You're rocking the van diagram, not the
That's
Venn
right,
diagram. And we've done some manifestos, and then we've done our logo in text where if you like read, it's like something about a battle against the books and things like that. And we just threw that all aside. We said, Chesto, let's make us some sort of like bubbly graffiti letters, and let's go IPL for In Play Live and slap the logo in there. And I it's my favorite hoodie by far. Like, no, it's not even close. I love this hoodie.
Awesome. Love it. Well, every one that I've got is just super comfy though. And I just wear these things all the time around the house, just chilling out, doing work in my basement here. And always a great swag there.
We did get told at Bet Bash, by far we had the best swag, like by far. Yeah. So if you are attending Bet Bash, we'll definitely be bringing some stuff for different contests and giveaways and stuff like that. But keep it if you're not attending the Vancouver event, you're attending Bet Bash. Keep an eye out for us and the big bubble, letters. Yeah.
And you mentioned SX off the top of the show, and that's where all the betting can happen. And it's on there. It's once you get your funds in, it's super easy to work in. But I would suggest to anybody out there that wants to do it before you get to Vancouver. Like get it all set up ahead of time. That's definitely the way to go. And you mentioned that will they be there again? Like, will we see Kay? Is she back? Yep. Awesome. Kay is incredible. She can help out everyone if you need a hand while you're there to sort of sort it out and figure it out. She's just a great person to work with. Can't wait to see her again. All right, guys, I think that's just about it. Anything else we want to say before we wrap it up? Oh, wait, I got one more thing we got to say. The Pinnacle contest. Pace, the Pinnacle contest ends in like a week.
Sweet.
Yeah, everybody, get your bets in. Get those bet slips over to Raj. $10. That's all you got to do. You go place a CFL bet for $10, something that we just cooked up here on the pod. And you get that slip in over to Raj, and the winner is going to get $2,000 USD that Pace, I guess we'll be giving it away on next week's show. That'd be the 30th still. So no, probably 2 weeks from now. Something like that. Yeah. We'll give it away then. But yeah, get those slips in there. Get them to Raj to be entered into the contest to win $2,000 USD right into your Pinnacle account. That'd be fucking sweet. All right, guys. But I think that is it. Nothing else for this week. Can't wait to see you both in person in just a couple days. But for everybody else tuning in that we won't be seeing in Vancouver and tuning in from around the world, to all you sports bettors, till next week, keep beating those books. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Lines. Remember to like, download, and subscribe. We are on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. Have a betting story or want to be featured on our podcast? Drop a note in the comments below. And if you want to join In Play Live, use promo code Behind the Lines.